Junior, Dad.
Please, what does it always mean, this Junior?
That's his name. Henry Jones Jr.
Like Indiana.
We named the dog Indiana.
Fun fact, my dog's name is Indy, short for Indiana. But let's talk about Harrison Ford and whiskey. Hey guys, I'm Nate Martin, the Whiskey Scribe. I'm a whiskey enthusiast and I love all things whiskey. If you haven't already, hit the subscribe button now. I put up regular whiskey review videos and education pieces, but I also come from a marketing background. And when I say I love all things whiskey, that also includes some of the really interesting marketing campaigns. Glenmorangie, a renowned whiskey brand and distillery situated in the Scottish Highlands, earlier this year launched a marketing campaign called Once Upon a Time in Scotland. It was a series of short videos featuring Harrison Ford and directed by the Australian actor and director Joel Edgerton. So it's awesome to see an Australian tie-in on this. They clearly put a lot of marketing dollars into this, and if you have any interest in Harrison Ford or whiskey, by now the social media algorithm would have shown you images of Harrison Ford standing on top of a mountain wearing a kilt and drinking whiskey. Now I love Harrison Ford. I grew up watching Indiana Jones, Star Wars, Blade Runner. You can guarantee if I'm hiking through anything that even resembles a jungle, the tune in my head is going dun 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 dun. And it's probably pretty obvious how much I like whiskey. But with this campaign, at a glance, just paying a celebrity to endorse your product seems kind of gimmicky. But when it comes to the storytelling, the humor, and the way they've really lent into the stereotypes, I actually think they've done something really, really clever. Now, Glenmorangie is an old, iconic whiskey distillery. Even without using Harrison Ford, there are so many ways that they could have actually marketed their product in a really eye-catching way. They could have really leaned into the long history of expert craftsmanship. The distillery was founded in 1843 and has long been known as a trailblazer for using rare cask types. They have the tallest whiskey stills in Scotland, nicknamed giraffes, which does have an impact on flavour. So they could have tied in with some sort of animal conservation group and advertised that like a portion of the proceeds were going to help protect endangered giraffes or something to make you feel really good about drinking their whiskey. And also, the conglomerate that owns Glenmorangie also owns brands like Louis Vuitton, Moët, Christian Dior, Hennessy, and they could have really lent into those luxury goods and tried to pivot and showcase the Glenmorangie whiskey as being a really, really luxury items, jack the price up and try and appeal for that high-end market, as we've seen many other Scotch brands do. But instead, they went with Harrison Ford, an American actor of Irish, German, and Jewish ancestry. But then he's had some really, really iconic roles, so they could have lent into that. They could have shown some epic Star Wars battle, finishing with Han Solo drinking whiskey with Chewie on the Millennium Falcon. We could have seen Indiana Jones sharing a dram with his dad, Sean Connery, discussing his adventures over the years. Or we could have seen Rick Deckard in Blade Runner ditching Johnny Walker Black for a glass of Glenmorangie. Or as a fugitive accused of stealing somebody's bottle of scotch, "I didn't drink your whiskey. I don't care." Or even as the president on Air Force One saying, "Put down my dram." Instead, they leaned into all the typical stereotypes we automatically think of when we're drinking whiskey or thinking of Scotland. Having a glass by the fire, driving some classic sports car, staying in a castle, bagpipes standing in a kilt atop a mountain in the Highlands. If any Scottish whiskey distillery approached me to be the main figure in a marketing campaign for their whiskey, these are all the things I would be hoping that they would want to do, but I'd assume they wouldn't do it because it would be too on the nose. But by using Harrison Ford, leaning into him being a bit of a grump.
You tried this. Ready? Come on, quick! Let's go, let's go, let's go!
Him talking about not wanting to do the typical action man stuff.
Men on a mountain, men running through a forest, men splashing through all that manly stuff, yeah. That's good, I know. And there's guys that do that. I don't do that.
And him not being super knowledgeable about whiskey.
How do you...
Glenmorangie.
Glenmorangie. Give me a second.
They were able to go through all of those stereotypes and have it not seem douchey or gimmicky. They got to actually play with it and have a laugh at the fact that we think of those things as stereotypes, and still use the campaign to educate us about the whiskey. It's not Harrison Ford being incredibly knowledgeable and talking about how much he likes the whiskey. It's the people from the distillery telling him how to pronounce the word Glenmorangie, telling him how the whiskey is made, and him tasting it and just genuinely going, damn, that is nice. And although this is a long campaign, they've summarized it into these short snippet clips. So you can see that Harrison Ford wore a kilt, stood on top of a mountain and spruiked Glenmorangie whiskey. But if you really wanted to nerd it up, you can jump onto YouTube and you can watch the whole 12 episode series, and it's actually quite entertaining to see Harrison Ford just be honestly a little bit of a man-child about it and make stupid jokes and play around with suits of armor. Now, I know all of this might actually come across like a sponsored video. Glenmorangie have not paid me to do any of this. This is just my genuine impression of that whiskey marketing campaign. It is refreshing to see somebody do such a clever approach that takes old-fashioned stereotypes, still address them, but still do it in a really fun, modern, and entertaining way. Maybe it's like that slight self-deprecating aspect of it, of Harrison Ford not taking himself too seriously. Maybe that's the Australian angle with Joel Edgerton being the one directing the whole thing. But for me, it just really stuck with me as a great example of marketing done right and differently. But I know for people who take their whiskey really seriously, gimmicky marketing campaigns can turn you off a brand. So let me know in the comments, does this have you reaching for Glenmorangie more or less? Or also let me know if you'd like me to dive into some other whiskey marketing campaigns. I mean, we all know of an American comedic actor who has a close collaboration with an Islay distillery. There's a Speyside distillery that's used a female celebrity to really try and push the women drinking whiskey angle. Are there other marketing campaigns out there that I haven't touched on? Let me know in the comments, but otherwise, enjoy what's in your glass, no matter who is endorsing it, and slange.